Good morning, and thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of TVC Breakfast. I'm Veronica Dan-Ikpoyi. Here with me in the studio are my co-hosts, Sam Omatseye and Mike Okwoche, the president. Good morning.
Good morning. You're looking for trouble this morning. Well, it's good to be back. It's good to have you back. And it's good to be back home again after all the while. Really.
Right.
Who's actually welcoming home?
We're welcoming each other now. We're welcoming each other now. That's what it is. Nice one.
Right.
Nice one.
Speaking about home, Nigerians, it seems a majority of students will have to stay longer at home. ASUU has extended the strike for 4 more weeks, and some have said, likened it to them rolling over their data. It's like they are rolling over their data. But that aside, it's becoming worrisome with these extensions by ASUU.
Worrisome. It has always been worrisome. It's becoming more and more tragic, we might say. But is it a lack of faith in the deadline or an escalation of the crisis? Because the president gave them 2 weeks. I don't think that has elapsed.
It has.
Has it?
I think it has.
It has.
Yeah.
If it has elapsed, then it means that the matter has turned to what they say, water don't pass Gary in Nigeria. That the date has elapsed and we are still here without any agreement. Now, what is the problem? What is the problem?
The 2009 agreement,
They
renegotiation.
talk about the 2009 agreement and that they said they don't have enough money. They said Nigeria is broke.
Yes.
And Nigeria cannot afford all of that money. Okay, if you cannot afford all of that money, how much do you have? How much can we take? How do we get these students to go back to school? What compromises can we make? We have no information as to what is going on in that regard. It is a failure of leadership, I always say. It's a failure of leadership of the Buhari administration that they have not been able to solve it. No matter the level of the intransigence and the recalcitrance of the ASUU people, you still have to come down to some kind of negotiation. If you cannot, then you have to communicate. You communicate in such a way that Nigerians will know that this is the extent to which we have gone in trying to resolve the issue with the ASUU people. This is what we have on the table. This is what they have not decided to take. But there is a cloud on one side and there's a cloud on the other, and they are not talking to each other. The falcon, as they say, cannot hear the falcon.
Well, the point there is, in all of this, one would say the underlining thing we're seeing here is issue of ego.
Really?
On the side of government, right? There is nothing impossible in all of the commitments. You know, if you look at item 1 to the end of the list of what ASUU and federal government have agreed in 2009, in 2014, in 2019, and 2020, there's nothing impossible to achieve there. But let us look at the realities of, okay, do we have what it takes to achieve this now? You may say because of the opportunity costs that we have and because of the priorities, all right, can we, can we meet ASUU instrumentally? Like Omatseye has said, they've done that before.
They've done that.
President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, when they started paying money in
last year.
tranches.
Even last year.
Exactly.
They paid tranches of 20 billion, 20
Exactly.
billion, 20 billion.
So the point there is, what kind of assurances are you giving to us? Come, ASUU, sit down. Let us look at this thing.
Because
This is how much we have right now. And because of this, and because of this, and because of that, we may not be able to give you everything at once. But let us stagger this amount of money, maybe even if it is 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 4, whatever the thing is. And when you start meeting that obligation, meet it to the end, according to what you have stated.
Perhaps this is why the union is saying that the government is insincere in its approach at addressing the matters. But parents, on the other hand, are also crying that their children have begun to pick up dangerous vices. Something has to give at this point, because the longer it takes, the more we begin to see, the society and, you know, devices that we never thought about. Parents are crying that their children have begun to join gangs, groups, and we are asking questions. We're talking about insecurity, the spate of it as we speak, and yet the government is seemingly not doing enough to address this issue.
We're having young people who have been away from school. When we talk about bandits, we're talking about restlessness of youth, we're talking of killings that are done by youths. We are creating an atmosphere to recruit all of these people into all kinds of criminality. Remember that some of the people who have been caught in criminality, some of them went to school. Some of them are university graduates.
Absolutely.
Doing all forms of recklessness. So the issue is that this government has the ultimate responsibility to restore these schools. And if it is not done, there's no other place to go than the government, the federal government, the Buhari administration. And know that there is a part in which you will blame the ASUU lecturers because, for sure, there's no sense of sacrifice on their own side. That is for sure.
Really?
There's no sense of sacrifice that these students are here, we will be there for them while looking for other ways to resolve this issue. They are no models. The ASUU leaders are no models in leadership. That must be stated because there are no patriots in leadership for this country, no role models for their students because they are not ready to do any sacrifice for them. But that said, the government has not moved the needle. It has not shown charismatic leadership, has not been able to communicate to Nigerians to say, this is where we have reached in this matter. Here is our pulse string. This is how we can go. Does anybody out there have any other idea as to how to go about this? So what we are seeing here is a paralysis.
But some lecturers might not agree with you on this matter of them not being sacrificed because they will wonder what else do you expect them to have done?
No, the point is, the issue there is, let me even butt in here. Of course, we don't even expect everyone to agree. But the reality is that if you take some private universities and see the kind of funding they are getting, how are they getting funding for some of the projects and research and all of that they are doing?
Private universities.
Private universities. In fact, there are even some public universities doing all of these things.
Is that what the lecturers should have done?
That's what we're saying.
All right.
Explore everything possible. We cannot rely on government
We talked
alone.
about crowdfunding that was even
Suggested.
broached to them.
Yeah.
And
But
they said
rejected
it didn't follow due process.
Okay. We need to move on quickly from here now. We need